now that it's all signed and done, what can you say about what he's meant to this team?
Well, I would answer that question this way. Whenever I've had conversations with Clint, whenever we've had interactions, whenever I've watched him play, the thing that's always impressed me outside of the, obvious technical ability, the goal scoring, all of the stuff that, all the Sounder organization has put out there on all the highlight stuff that they put out this morning, has he always been a team guy. That's always what's been important to me. He's always treated the coaching staff, the medical staff, the training staff with the utmost respect. And so I really appreciated that. That was something that always was in his character. So any guy that puts himself first in front of the team, he's always going to be okay.
How did you find out about the retirement news?
Well, I found out about it this morning. I mean, obviously there's been conversations going on, but, until Clint made his final decision, none of us knew.
What was that process like, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, when Clint first maybe brought it to you, or discussions you may have had, or how many over the course
Well,
of the
those are things that I'm going to keep in-house. I mean, this is a big decision for him. And, however he came to those decisions, those conclusions, I wouldn't feel good about trying to say anything about that. I just think that, it's in some ways it's it's a little bit of a sad day because we won't be able to see him play. But at the same time, you can use this day as a celebration for some of the great things that he's accomplished in his career. And that's the way I choose to look at it.
When you look back over the last couple of years, do you have a specific Clint Dempsey moment or a favorite memory you'd like to share?
Well, I got a few. I mean, I get a few. I remember I was in the Atlantic Crossing in 2014 with a bunch of people when he scored that goal early on against Ghana, the first minute. It was a tremendous goal. You look at what he did, took the ball around a couple guys and scored. That was one of my favorite because I'm just a fan. So that was good. Sounder moments. That Open Cup final in 2014, I thought Zach Scott had a monster game. Clint, Oba, those guys, that was a big performance from those guys. And then just the sheer entertainment value of, some of the goals he scored against Portland, some of the goals he just scored, his creativity, his flair. I mean, there's been a ton of really good memories about Clint and what he's done for the club.
As a team guy, do you wish that he had just seen it out till the end of the year to give you an option and just to kind of give you guys more depth as the season goes on here?
That's his decision, Matt. I respect his decision.
His last start was the loss against Portland, but he was on the bench for the next game, then he played against San Jose, and then he was on the bench again against New York City. I would imagine that you must have had to have some tough conversations with him during that period after the Portland game. Can you speak to that, or at least the thinking of what went into those decisions?
Well, that again, my job sometimes is not easy because everybody wants to play. I've had tough conversations with Clint, had tough conversations with Roman, have tough conversations with some of the young guys. That's just part of the job. Again, I would say that all of the conversations are always respectful. They're all team guys. That group out there, that team, believes in what they're doing. They always want to help their teammates, and Clint was part of that. So all the conversations and all the things that we had, I mean, they were all fine. There were no issues there.
There was I want to say, the training session right before the New York City game where him and Rui Diaz were kind of putting on a little bit of a finishing clinic over here. They were away from the starters. Was there a part of you that was really hoping to be able to see them together?
Sure. I would have hoped to see them together for sure. But, like I said, whatever he put into his decision, I got to respect that.
What do you hope his legacy or lasting impressions on maybe some of the younger players you have with the club that maybe grew up watching him as a professional before they became professionals themselves kind of will have?
Michelle, I don't know if it's a hope. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen him take young guys aside and help them with their game. Some of the stories he's able to relate to some of those young guys, some of the experiences that he's gone through and what helped him be successful in some of those moments, he's already shared all of that. So it's not a hope. He's already done it.
When he and Oba were just rolling together, how would you compare them to historically in MLS to other top twos?
Yeah, I mean, very near the top. I mean, I'm certainly biased, but those guys were super talented players, and those two together made for some really entertaining soccer.
You mentioned him kind of imparting some of his wisdom to younger players, and I feel like anecdotally saw more of that this year. That he was, that he would take a Ray Serrano aside, or that he would take time to talk to guys, and that hasn't always been his MO. Was there a sense that this year he was maybe making a little bit more of an even bigger effort to kind of pass some of that down?
Again, Clint is who he is. He leads by example. I mean, some of the example that he sets, the young kids can look, and how, when Clint was in the moment and really hungry for goals, that's a learning moment. When he pulled young Ray Serrano aside, I loved it. That was Clint. That's who he was. I wouldn't say that he more or less. I think he's done that pretty consistently.
Aside from his ability to always want to play for the team and being that team player, what was so special about him as a soccer player?
Well, again, his creative flair was something that, he tried shit. I mean, that was his slogan. That was already out there. I think Bruce Arena got credit for that quote. That's what he did. He was very creative, was able to come up with behind the back something creative to help us score. And those are some of the highlight reels that we'll all watch over and over again.